Hi, Kyle Wilkie here. Today I'm going to talk to you about the 23 themes of teaching, and I'm going to discuss 5 things that I feel like I do very well, and then 3 things that I feel like I could work on. The first one that I would like to talk about is chunking, and that's the ability of the teacher to segment the curriculum and learning activities into manageable portions to avoid working memory overload. I do this in my classroom because I found that my students who are middle school students, 12, 13 years old, they cannot sit still, and really no student can sit still for a full 50 minutes. So, in order to help kind of move things along and so that I can stay on pace, I try to chunk together the things that I do in my classroom. For example, I do a bell ringer at the beginning of the hour, and that can be anything from answering a discussion question and replying to other people's on Google Classroom to studying their vocab on Quizlet um, to having a discussion at their tables. So um, we'll start off with some sort of bell ringer, and then I'll go into what's ever next. So I might go over a few questions from the night before, or I might show a video next, and then we might have a discussion after the video, things like that. So I tried to chunk everything into little 5 minute to 10 minute segments. With no more than 15 minutes of doing the same thing at a time. Now, I know that that's not possible to do every day, but for the most part, I try to do that, and I think that it helps make it a little less overwhelming for the students in the classroom. The next thing that I feel like I do fairly well is connection, and that's me being able to connect to the students and take what they're learning and connect it to their lives. Um, so I try to do that with vocabulary. So I'll build on vocabulary from one thing to the next with past learning. So, for example, at the beginning of the year, we start off with prokaryote and eukaryote, and at the beginning of the year, I will always explain what a prokaryote is. It does not have a nucleus or membrane bound organelle, and a eukaryote, what it does. And then throughout the year, I gradually call back on that so that I can just say the word prokaryote, eukaryote, and they know exactly what I mean by that. And then I use that to build on, and I try and look for that whenever students are talking to me that they're using that vocabulary as well that we had learned previously. The next thing I feel like I do very well is personal relevance, and that's basically taking what we do in class and connecting that to students' lives and making it relevant to them. One example for that is how I talk about with characteristics of living things, stimulus and response to stimulus. I use popular music for them. This past year I used Whip and Nene, so the hearing the song would be the stimulus, and then someone either dancing or not dancing would be the response to that stimulus. The next thing I feel like I do pretty well is the enriched environments, and that's the ability of the teacher to shape the physical and social environment of the classroom. I feel like I do this a lot because I allow my students to discuss topics and debate topics at their tables. Um, I found that students are going to talk no matter what you do, or they want to talk no matter what you do. So if you give them that opportunity and you guide it in a direction that's based on the curriculum, it ends up being very beneficial in the classroom. Your lower your lower kids that might not have much to say or know much to say will be brought up by your higher kids around them, and so on and so forth. I also do team building activities and sprinkled throughout the year, and I try and tie them back to the curriculum. The beginning of the year it's a little harder, but I try and do that throughout the year so that that classroom environment stays established. The last thing that I think I do is the personal presence, and that's the ability of the teacher to become a person of significance in the lives of students and to use this position to enhance student engagement. Um, I try to be a personal presence everywhere in the school, so not just in my classroom. I stay after school and I'll walk around the halls um, if I'm making copies or whatever and talk to kids, ask them how their day's been, so on and so forth. I'll show up at their games in the evenings, and they do notice whenever their teachers are at their games, I will say that. So I'll do things like that, um, as well as just taking a general concern in their life. So asking them how their weekend was, talking to them one on one about things that they did over the weekend. to show that I care. The three things that I feel like I need to work on with the 23 themes of teaching would be task analysis, which is the ability of the teacher to identify and sequence all the essential steps necessary for mastery of a goal. This is something that has been very, very hard for me my first couple years of teaching because I'm constantly wondering, well, do I want to present it in this order or that order? Is this order going to help or hurt them? So on and so forth. So I feel like sometimes I spend too much time on things that might be easy for them, and then not enough on the things that are difficult. And I found that out after my first year, actually, by giving a student reflection sheet. They said that we went too fast through cells, but things like classification and ecology that they got, they felt like we spent a lot more time on. So I changed that with my instruction. The next thing that I feel like I need to work on is neural downshifting, and that's basically the ability of the teacher to reduce stress and get the students to use that critical thinking without shutting down. This is something that I've noticed with my middle school kids, that it's when they are faced with adversity or when things get tough, they really want to shut down real quickly. So what I have I'm trying to think about ways that I can help this, and I can't other than constant encouragement and modeling. Modeling is one of the best ways I have found to help this, but just kind of helping them see my own thinking so that they know where my head's at, and then whenever they're doing the stuff, they can hopefully guide that way. So that's something that I want to work on, and I feel like with experience I'll get better with that as well. The last thing that I feel like I need to work on is stagecraft, and that's the ability of the teacher to enhance, deepen, and prolong student engagement by utilizing a theatrical treatment. I'd like to see more skits in my classroom. I have done it a few times and students really like it. The reason that I feel like I need to work on it is because I'm scared to use skits sometimes because I feel like they're going to be too corny, or I feel like they might take up too much time, when in reality taking up that time might actually help them to better understand the content. So I feel like I should probably take a step back and maybe try some more of those things, because when I have used the skits in my classroom, students really seem to respond to that. So those are some things that I feel like I do well, and some things that I feel like I need to work on with 23 themes of teaching. And I'm sure that some of you have those same things as well, and I am constantly trying to better myself and become a better educator, so I can't wait to see where the next 10, 15, 20 years take me in this educational journey. Thanks.